You're trailing a kudu for 6 hours across the grasslands of what is now South Africa, roughly 200,000 years ago. Your spear is balanced, your legs are shaking. Then, 30 feet from the strike, the animal catches your scent and disappears into a thornbush thicket. Gone. No meat tonight, no fat crackling over the coals. Just a falling sun, a stomach that hasn't been full in 2 days, and the sound of your own breathing. Right now, if your dinner plans collapse, you order something else and it shows up in 20 minutes. A missed hunt 200,000 years ago wasn't a minor inconvenience. It was a countdown, and the body only has so many days of reserves before hunger stops being uncomfortable and starts being dangerous. So, what did ancient humans actually eat when the hunt failed? When the animal got away, the herd moved on, or the dry season emptied the plains? The answer is sitting in fossilized teeth, ancient trash heaps, and cracked open bones most people would walk straight past. In 2007, archaeologist Curtis Moran and his team excavated Pinnacle Point Cave 13 billion on South Africa's southern coast. Buried in sediment dated to roughly 164,000 years old, they found something unexpected. Heaps of cracked open shellfish, brown mussels, whelks, giant periwinkles. This wasn't a one-off snack. It was a pattern. Shellfish didn't run, didn't fight back, and didn't require 6 hours of tracking through open grassland. Low tide simply delivered dinner to the rocks, twice a day on a schedule nature had already fixed. The same layer of sediment held traces of ochre pigment, worked by the same people who were prying mussels off the rocks. Whoever this was, they weren't just scraping by, they were stable enough to think about color and symbol. The number that makes it real, 164,000 years. That's roughly 8,000 generations before farming, before writing, before anyone called this a strategy. Long before modern nutrition science existed, humans had already found the safest food source available, the one that can't outrun you. Everyone assumes shellfish were bottom-of-the-barrel emergency food, eaten only once everything better ran out. The truth is more interesting. Some researchers think this coastal fallback diet, rich in the fatty acids found in seafood, may have helped fuel the growth of the human brain itself, turning a backup plan into an evolutionary advantage. So what happened when the coast wasn't an option? Move inland, and further back, 75 million years, to a site called FLK Zinjanthropus at Olduvai Gorge, Tanzania. In the 1980s, archaeologists Henry Bunn and Ellen Kroll examined thousands of animal bones recovered from the site. And one detail kept repeating. The long bones were smashed open, not chewed by scavengers, not gnawed by hyenas, struck deliberately with stone tools, in a pattern that only makes sense if someone was after what was inside. Marrow, the fatty core of a bone that predators and other scavengers usually leave behind. For hominins working a failed or partial hunt, an abandoned carcass wasn't leftovers. It was a locked safe nobody else could open, and the marrow inside could deliver more calories per bite than the meat ever did. Everyone assumes marrow was scraps, the food nobody wanted. The truth is the opposite. Early explorers who tried surviving on lean meat alone, with no fat, got sick within weeks, a condition later nicknamed rabbit starvation. Fat wasn't a bonus, it was the ceiling that kept the whole system from collapsing. That's the thing about a bad hunt this far back. It didn't always mean starting over. Sometimes it meant finding what everyone else had already walked past. In 2011, biological anthropologist Amanda Henry examined something almost nobody thinks to study. The hardened plaque on the teeth of Neanderthal remains from two sites more than 2,000 miles apart, Shanidar Cave in Iraq and Spy Cave in Belgium. Trapped inside that ancient plaque were microscopic starch grains, the fossilized remains of actual meals, grass seeds, root vegetables, legumes. Some grains carried damage patterns consistent with cooking, not raw chewing. This mattered because Neanderthals had a reputation as pure carnivores, built for chasing mammoths across frozen tundra. The plaque told a quieter story. Two populations, separated by thousands of miles, were doing the same thing when the big game wasn't there, digging, boiling, and eating what the ground offered instead. It wasn't glamorous food. It didn't come with a chase or a kill, but underground storage organs, the roots and tubers hidden beneath the surface. Don't run, don't need tracking, and don't disappear when the herds move on. They just wait to be dug up. Everyone assumes ancient diet means a campfire ringed with fresh meat. The truth is that among the very last hunter-gatherer societies on Earth today, hunting is the least reliable food source there is. Not the backbone of the diet, but the gamble layered on top of it. Anthropologist Frank Marlowe spent years living alongside the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last populations on Earth, still hunting and gathering the way humans have for most of history. His field data showed something that surprises most people. Hadza men often return from a day of hunting large game, with nothing to show for it, sometimes for days in a row. Meanwhile, the camp doesn't go hungry. Women gather tubers, baobab fruit, and berries every single day, hunt or no hunt. And that gathered food, along with honey the men collect on the side, supplies most of the group's daily calories. Meat isn't the floor the Hadza diet stands on. It's the ceiling, the addition that shows up when everything lines up, layered on top of a food supply that almost never fails. If a modern hunter-gatherer group runs on that ratio, there's little reason to think ancient humans tracking kudu across a dry grassland 200,000 years earlier ran on anything different. So here's the real answer. Underneath, what did ancient humans eat when hunting failed? Hunting was never the reliable backbone people imagine it to be. It was the high-risk layer sitting on top of something sturdier, shellfish that couldn't run, tubers that couldn't hide, marrow inside bones predators had already given up on, and a rotating menu of gathered food that almost never disappeared all at once. A missed kudu wasn't a crisis. It was Tuesday, the failure that should have ended in starvation instead barely registered, because nobody had built their entire survival plan around one unreliable source in the first place. Back on that grassland 200,000 years ago, the kudu is long gone into the thorn bush, and the light is almost finished for the day. But there's no panic at the fire. Someone dug tubers that morning. Someone else has shellfish from 2 days ago that still have days of eating left in them. The hunt failed and nobody starved, because it was never the only plan. Right now, an empty fridge can feel like a small emergency. For most of human history, an empty spear never meant an empty stomach, because the species never learned to survive on one idea. It learned to never have only one. Humans didn't survive because they were the best hunters on the planet. They survived because they were never only hunters.